Hi everyone. What's trying to reconnect? There we go. Okay, just gonna expand that a little bit, get that camera right for you. Okie dokie. So we were going to do the second part of the trapunto. I'll have to do that probably tomorrow. It is way not dry, so it's going to have to wait. When you're on Say G'day, I'm going to draw out and paint koala number 2 from my painting set. I have these kits. They're only $25 and you get the pattern, instructions on how to paint, and you also get the front, the wadding, and the back of the fabric. And I sort of designed these so that you could, sorry, I'm huffing and puffing, so that you could actually quilt it as you go if you wanted to, but I'm going to draw it out first. So I've just taped it down and I'm going to draw the design on. G'day Yvonne. So a bit of a change of plans, but I've got to do a live at or thing with Craft TV at 1 o'clock. So I wanted to do this. So I'm just using a wash away pen, which will work fine. Oops, days. I am going to, you can call this a koala if you want to, or a teddy bear. If you want to make it into a koala, you can come in and change those ears up just by doing that. And that will give him those ears. And then these ones here will be obsolete. I'll paint over the top of those and that'll give him his koala ears. Or you can just keep him as a teddy. Either either. I'm just going to put in his eyebrows. It's got a little shiny bit on his nose. And big nose for a koala. And smile. He's got a bow tie. And he's got his finger up in the air. Don't know what all that is about, but anyway. Oops. Yeah. I think I actually put some gum leaves in his hands, I think, last time. Hi, everyone. So you can do that. You can have some gum leaves. He's holding on to some sort of gum leaf or something. It doesn't really matter. And I'll just draw them in there. As long as it's within that area where I'm going to sew. I'm going to put some centers in his ears. I'm just changing it up a little bit. You can keep it the same as what, this is one of my blocks, yes. So he's done, so I can then take him off there. Now this, like I said, is a wash away pen. It will disappear as I start to wet it and all that jazz. So the kits come with your wadding and everything in there, your design, some instructions, and your front and back fabrics. They're $25 for a kit. And like I say, you can change that up any way you like. I'm going to change it that little way. The little bit of wadding that goes in is enough to sit behind him. And that will hold it in place while I'm sewing. You can, if you want to, get a bit of painting. You could probably add a little bit of paint to the side, tape to the sides. Yeah, I'll put my teeth back in, will I? So don't iron it at this stage because that will make that pen permanent. So that is him there. The paints I'm going to use are a new paint that are coming in. They are in the process. They'll be here next year. So this is a new type of paint that I have. It is opaque, but it is not luminescent, which is great. So it's not pearly and all shiny. Koalas are grey. So I need black and white. And this set will come with a grain of silver. I don't want the silver, but I do want the grey. But I'm going to need a darker grey as well. So I could use just a grey and add a little bit of black to it as well. That's an option, but I'm still going to need black and white anyway. And it's got an olive in there, which is going to be nice for the leaves. Now, the jacket and bow tie, I'm going to sort of do maybe a blue and probably throw in a dark blue, so the two blues. The brushes are obviously just cheap ones, and I always have beside me my paper towel just in case, and I kick out a little bit of paint, put the lid back on. I was just watching your other video and you're coming along. G'day Tanya, how you going, love? Yeah, so I've uploaded the other one. There's the one that earlier today I'm uploading as we speak. Get out some white, the lid back on. What I'm doing is that you can't see, it's on camera. I think that should be all right to put on there. Just got an A plate, it's just an old plate. Kick out some paint there, some grey. And like I say, these paints are something I'm going to be bringing in. I'm not too sure on price yet, but there's like 21 in a pack, 21 colours. You get two fluoros, 2 metallic paints, which are gold and silver, and you also get a whole heap of colours. So when they come in, they'll come in a box. And you can just pop them back in the box, and they're nice sizes. So these small sizes are good for especially sample size. I am going to talk to them about seeing if I can get a couple of colours individual. I don't need a lot of that. This one's quite thick. It's very thick paint. So that if we need to refill some of these little ones, or we want to get more black and more white, that's there. Okie dokie. So that over there, they can go there, that can go just there. Now I do use water with this paint just to water down a little bit. Just beware, the more water you add, the more likely it is to run. So just soften down your paint so you can manage it. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of white, and I'm just going to get a dark grey going. So I have a dark grey there. I have a mid grey. And to get my lighter grey, I'm going to grab some white out of that, pop it there, and grab some grey and just mix the two together, and that'll be a lighter colour. I'm preempting. I've no idea yet how this is going to work for me, but I'm preempting. All right. Okay, so black, dark grey, medium grey, light grey, and white, and those two I'll worry about later on. Now just grab a little bit of water and soften up that paint a bit. So it just means that it's not so thick. It'll still be opaque, but it won't be gluggy. So I'm going to paint in here. The beauty of this stuff is it does not run everywhere. Going to get some darker grey on the outside. And this is just a cotton fabric. It's not calico or anything special. Nothing It's not linen, it's not silk, it's just a homespun. Now, if you find that you can't get a nice sharp line, get some water on your brush, dab it in your paint a little, soften it up again, and then come in with your sharper line. A little bit of water makes a difference, but you've got to keep it to a bare minimum. Grab the lighter grey, and we're just blending those two colours in, just like that. Very thick. Bit of water. And I'm just blending in there. And as I get closer to those edges, those lines, put a bit of water on it, and I'm using the brush in an up and down position. That sort of gives me the ability to create that sharper line, just like that. Just washing that water out, paint out. And just blending that in a little. All right, so that's one arm done. We can do the next one. Pretty quick and pretty easy to use. It's not a hard paint, it's acrylic. It is colour fast. You heat set it, just like any other acrylic. And you can use it with the kids, if you so desire, or you can keep it for yourself. A little bit of black in that, just to get some tone there. Like I say, I'm just blending as I go. Very mesmerising what you do. I've been told that before, yeah. People get a little bit in La La Land when they watch me do this. Bit relaxing. And you can see how that water-soluble pen will dissipate. And when you stitch it down, which you do after you've done the painting, you always paint first and stitch later, you'll be able to stitch over that and it'll disappear again, even more so. So just blend them in. Oh, is it? Sorry, love. Sorry, Kayleen. Let's see if I can get closer to that. Oops-a-days. That painting. There we go. A little bit more there. All right. I'm just going to grab a smaller flat brush. And just go around that edge there. Like I say, if you go outside the edge, don't stress too much. You can always cover that up with a bit of stitching. It's never that big an issue that you sort of got to go, oh, that's it, I've got to throw this out. Just let it go and move on. Alrighty, so let's do his body. Adding a bit of water to that paint. Just mixing up my colour, that colour. That little bit of water in there allows me to make that sharp edge. A little bit of white in there. So I get that wetter paint, and that allows me to make that sharp edge with the edge of that brush. Look, a little bit, probably around about half an hour at the most drying time. So it's pretty quick process. Nice. So, you know, you can sort of paint an area and then turn it around, paint a different area, and come back and the other area will be almost dry, which is pretty good. So these paints won't be available for you to purchase yet until next year. I'm just getting the invoices through now. They won't be overly expensive, which is great, because paints are really expensive as a general rule, especially fabric paints. And these ones will be kept at a low raw, which is fantastic. I will have them on the website when they are available as well. But of course you'll be able to purchase them through the Facebook Lives, which is fabulous. Alrighty. So I just came in on this painting on material. Yes, it is, Pam. It absolutely is. All right. So a little bit more. And if you feel that he's too dark, or for whatever reason you think it's too dark, just come back in and paint again. You can paint over this. Like if I go, oh, well, he's way too dark here, so I'm just going to lighten him up, and I can come in and paint over a little bit. Maybe I think that's too dark. And put a little bit lighter over there. I can grab a little bit of white and come in and give him even lighter again. Don't know what that is. Get it off. Get off. Get off. And as long as you, with acrylic, the main thing with acrylic paint is to act fit. Like you got to paint reasonably quick. You sort of can't be dawdling around. As you can see, I am painting reasonably quick, because it does dry fairly quick. Yeah, he does look cute, doesn't he? A little bit lighter on his belly. One thing I will suggest is to do all the one sort of colour area at the same time while you've got the paint there. Because to try and mix and match that colour again is near impossible. That's from painting experiences on canvas, just about near impossible anyway. So yeah, it's best to try and do it all at the same time. Okay. All right. Now, let's do his leg. Oh, you hear that? I ran out of coffee and I've got a frog in my throat. You might find it hard to see what I'm doing down here. I'll move it across there a bit. I can see everything. You finish the block and it's dry, you decide, oh, that's a bit dark. Can you lighten? You'll have to go back over and paint it. once it's dry, like I just did, I went over and popped some more colour. Yeah, you can come back in and just paint over the top of it. You can lighten it while it's there, while it's wet, but when it's already dry, you will need to come back and go straight over it. Which they're touch dry, but they're still not dry. He's a dapper dude, isn't he? Very dapper. So funny enough, all my paints on my tray, on my plate, have just about blended into each other. I have started with a dark and a light, and also a medium. I've created the medium. So I like to, you can go either way. It just depends what I'm painting as to whether I go dark to light or light to dark. Something just bit my toe. Neither is right, neither is wrong. It just depends on what you're painting and whether you're doing a scenery or you're doing an item like this. I'll come back in sometimes and add more colour. I'm almost out of grey on my plate. Which means I might have to mix some more, which is never good. I don't know if you can hear, but Candy's underneath snoring. I don't know where Penny's gone. Okay, that's that, and we have his little chest there. She's super dupervising, that's what she's doing. Underneath there snoring. So I've dampened that brush before putting it in the paint and watered up the paint a little, and that helps for me to get a paint that's a bit thinner and more sharp in application. Okay, now I've got to do his head. I do need a little bit more white. Is there any set rule on where you start with do the top? Yeah, you can start at the top and work your way down. Absolutely. There's no set rule. It is literally whatever you want to do, Maz. There's absolutely no rule other than working quick with your paint so that it doesn't set on you before you've finished an area, and then you've got to try and get it to blend again. Otherwise, yeah, just go for it. Now, they normally, koalas too, also have like, I'm going to ad-lib a little bit here, have that there, don't they? So I'm going to do that just because I can. So come back in, and there, little hairy chops. Does the paint soak through the table surface? I've got a bit of wadding underneath this to hold it in place, because otherwise when you wet fabric it tends to maneuver around, and I don't want it doing that. So I pop a bit of wadding underneath. That helps to soak up, but this paint's fairly opaque and tends not to soak through a lot. You do get a little bit, so I always suggest to people to put something, you know, on their table to protect their table. It is a water based, so it will wash off most surfaces, but like I say, just always check, like sample to see whether it'll come off, but it should definitely come off. When I say that, I say should definitely, maybe. It's acrylic. Won't come out of your clothes though, just FYI. Don't get it on your clothes. Ask me how I know. No dramas. So that's his mouth. Lighten up in there. Oops, what there? It's a bit dark. Bit harder when you get around these sort of things, a little bit more to fiddle with. Go around. You can swap over to a smaller brush, which I'm going to do in a minute. Just spreading the paint off this first. send you all off to sleep here at the moment. There's about 18 of us watching at the moment. You could all be asleep before I've finished. So this is why I use cheap brushes, because on fabric, if I want to blend, unlike paper, I tend to scrub at it to get it into the fibers. So if you do that with a really expensive brush, you're going to ruin it a lot, like really quickly. What's the name of the paints? Carol, did you make a coffee, Maz? The paints will be known as Michelle's Patchwork Fabric Art Paints next year. They'll be available. I've got a supplier who's making them for me and setting them up. And yeah, so they will be available next year when they arrive. Which is pretty exciting, because there's very few fabric paints that are not pearlescent. And I mean, pearlescent have their place, but sometimes you just don't want everything to be shiny, you know, sparkly shiny. You just want to have a koala, or you just want to have a teddy bear. These are easier to use than something like, not what? Not what? I don't know what you mean. These are easier to use than Inktense pencils and things like that. Don't stress if you're better off going over your lines for the eyes and things like that, because let it come back with black. So this video will be up on YouTube, so those on YouTube at a later date will be able to fast forward through some of the boring stuff. I don't want to send you guys off to sleep too. And or you can sit and watch the whole video. So that pearl, whatever you said, word, oh, it's pearlescent. Good stress reliever, it is. Word, I don't know. Pearlescent paints like Lumiere paints are pearlescent. All those sort of paints, they're all sort of, they're metallic is another word for it too. Sometimes, you know, you might want to do a blue wren, but you don't want it to have it all, you know, you might want some, you know, maybe the blue to be standoutish, but you don't want the whole thing standoutish. You know, and I did the Kookaburra. I did majority him in plain paints, and then just that bit of blue that shines on him, I did that in a pearlescent, so it sort of stood out. Very exciting that you are getting your own range of paints. Congratulations. Thanks, Sandra. Cassandra, I should say. Yes, I'm very excited about that. It's new news and exciting news, I think, anyway. All right. Next one is the ears. Oops, bit much black. Get over there. I have been known to dip the brush in the coffee. Oh yes, Vicky, I have so done that so many times. I've done that like painting canvases, and I'll The brush goes in, it's not very good when it's oil paint. The brush goes into the cup of coffee. Pretty much do that nearly every time. I've got to make a mental note not to. We're going to come back with some light colour paint here. I do have to watch the time because I've got the craft TV thing happening today. And I do want some white. Now, the other thing you got to remember, this will dry a bit lighter. So it might look fairly dark so far, but it will dry lighter. So that's always a good thing. Good thing to remember. So that's why I'm not too stressed about it being dark. And the other thing too is I can always come back and add some highlights in just to make it that little bit lighter if need be. And I know I've made that round there, but I'm going to actually make that sort of fluffy. So I'm leaving it sort of a bit rough around the ears, around the inner ear. So any kind of acrylic, whether it be pearlescent or these ones or any kind of acrylic paint, will always dry lighter. But just does. It just does. That's just the way it works. I don't know why. Maybe because it's not wet. That'd be the reason why. It's no longer wet, so it's going to be lighter. Normally I'd be turning this around about 6,000 times when I paint, because I like to work maneuvering them, but I can't because I've taped it down to the table. So every now and then I go and try and maneuver it. Silly, I know. Habit. All right, so I've got all the grey done. I'm pretty happy with that. She not perfect, but she done. She done. Now I'm gonna then do the blue. I'm going to start with the main colour. He's going to have a very bright blue jacket. Very bright blue. Again, putting some water in with it just to blend the paint a little, get it, soften it up so it spreads nice, and using the edge of my paintbrush, that pointy end here, to run along those edges, just like that. And you can't do it if the paint is thick, so you have to do it when the paint is thinned out. Okay, and then I can fill. She looked pretty damn perfect to me. Thanks. Oh, look, you know, I don't do anything perfect. It looks fine from a distance on the back of a horse 100 miles an hour. I miss doing these for you guys. I never get the chance to do them so much anymore like I used to because I'm so busy with all the orders and traveling around and all that jazz. And all that jazz. I know my button's not round. I'll get there. Make it round soon. A little bit more of this. So I'm hoping to be able to sell these sets for around the $50 mark and 21 paints in it. So it is really competitive price-wise with a lot of other brands. So fingers crossed you like doing what I do. Now, I am going to get that black. I've got a little bit of black on my plate. I'm adding a fair amount of water. So it's quite runny, like tea. Okay, like a consistency of tea. And I've got a fairly wet brush. I'm going to put a line there and a line there. And I'm going to go up, 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 and down, down, and down. I'm going to give him a checkered shirt. How cool is that? How cool. And I'm going to give it a bottom line and a line there and a line here and a line across there. Still very watery. Down here. And I'm leaning like my finger on the surface of the fabric at the same time. Such a steady hand. Well, I'm cheating. Now, I also have that what's the name there, that button that is going to be black. Now, I am going to get some black paint and just sort of, actually I might get the little one. Get that little one and just try and round that off a little, best I can. These are just added little touches that I do, and then I'm going to get that thick paint and I'm going to put a little shiny bit there, like that, like that. That's cute. Whoop whoop. Now we're going to do his bow tie. I'll get my big brush first. And I've got the dark blue, quite thick this one, so I am going to get them when they do the paint because they sent them to me fairly thick, so yours will be a little bit thinner, which will be easier to use. Super cute. Yeah, so the bow tie is going to be blue. It's a different blue. I need a bit more water. Now, I've been painting, drawing, painting since I was a kid, until a teacher told me I couldn't, that I was useless and would amount to nothing in the art world. And then I stopped for a long time because, you know, you believe teachers because they're supposed to know better than you. And then I started up again as an adult, and once I started doing this sort of stuff, I sort of went, oh, I want to do art with this because that would really be cool. So for those who don't know my story, that's pretty much my story when it comes to my art. Yeah, oh, look, people are horrible sometimes. I wonder why I don't people some days. That teacher then left. He failed me that half year in school. It was year 11. So I was a really vulnerable teenage girl and, 15 years of age, and really wanted to do graphic art and all that sort of jazz. And it threw me right off, and he told me I'd amount to nothing other than a secretary and go and do a secretarial studies. And I did that. I hated it, of course, because it was completely opposite to what I like to do. And anyway, Mum always encouraged me, but you know, I sort of lost my spark because I was told how useless I was. So I didn't do it for a long time. Now, once I found that you could do it in textiles, I thought, right, beauty, I'm going to do this, and now I am. And then it was a long time before I did. That teacher left that half year, and then another teacher came in, and I passed like with flying colours in art that second half of the year. So it just shows you one person can really ruin your thoughts of what you are going to do. And don't let one person determine your fate in life. You know, just keep doing it. So I'm going along the outline. You don't have to do this. I'm just doing that because I can. Stitching will do the same thing. So you can stitch around this. A little bit of bleeding there, so I'll fill that in. And that will give you the exact same effect of what I'm doing right now with a paintbrush. Hey, Julie, have you got new paintbrushes? No. Have you, same thing happen with my sewing? Oh, there you go, yeah. I'm just going to do those lines there because that's what we do. And he's got a very dark bow tie, so I might have to wait. Don't know. See how. Yeah, might be able to use this green. Might go and do the leaves while I come back and do the spots on his bow tie. So we're going to now do these leaves and that beautiful olive green. Gorgeous. You can throw a little bit of blue in that green, won't hurt. It'll just make it a little bit tealier. And oh, sorry, my bad. That tells me I've got 10 minutes and then I have to scoot toot. So I'll come back and finish this with you. Hopefully my thing outside hasn't flown away with all that wind. I'm hoping it's just dried up, doing its thing. That'll give this time to actually dry too. I'll come back and do the spots to show you how I do them. Hope karma bites him on the bit. To be successful, you need to stick with what you love to do. Exactly. Look, you know, some people just like to see other people miserable. I've decided they just love to do it. I'm all for encouraging people a lot. I like to encourage people because I think everyone is in a growing phase, no matter how long they've been doing it. You're always going to be growing and learning new techniques. And, you know, if you're not learning every time you do something, then you're doing something wrong. You need to be learning each and every time, whether it be something so minute. You need to be learning. You'll never, until the day you die, know everything. And that's how I look at it. And what I do know is that teacher had, well, he obviously had it in for me. He just didn't like me. So whatever, so be it. But he made it a personal thing. And I don't know why, because I was fairly quiet in class, believe it or not. But yeah, so that happened. And that is a true story. Now I'm just making a little bit of a brownie colour for these, and all I did was get a little bit of black and add it to that bluey green that I had there, and that sort of made a brown. But you can just do it with stitching as well, so it doesn't have to be painted. Oh, thanks, Julie. You're a sweetheart. I always tell my kids to follow. Yep. Don't let one person change your direction in life. My mum told me that a long time ago, and I wish I listened back then. But, of course, you know, I was young. Oh, you're welcome, Sharon. All right, so I'm going to sit him there. We're going to come back after my 1 o'clock appointment. Because I have some more things to do. I've got dots to do. I've got his nose to do. I'm going to do those fluffy ears. And then after that, he will need to dry, and then I can stitch around all those little lines that I've got. And I can do it in a black, just one color all the way through, and that will really, really make him stand out. And I can do this as a quilt as you go, okay? Quilt as you go. When you're younger, yeah, look, I wish I was young enough that I knew everything. That's what I tell my kids, just like they do. So, all right, so we will see you guys hopefully at Craft TV, and we're going to do some raw edge applique on the poinsettias. That will also be, oh, I must upload that for Craft TV, a free pattern for you as well. So I will see you guys after that demo, and I do have a birthday thing to go to today, so I will probably do it after 4 or 5 o'clock. All right, so don't expect anything in that bracket of time. So I was going to do a 3 o'clock live, but it will be after that at about 4 or 5 o'clock. All right, so I'll see you soon on Craft TV.